Good afternoon or morning or evening, whatever time it is when you're watching this video. My name is Shannon Bellum. You can find me as Whisky and Wool on YouTube, on Ravelry, and on Instagram. Though on Instagram there are extra O's in the name. It's wool with 4 O's instead of just 2. Everything will be in the description box down below, as well as I've probably put it on screen already. But yes, welcome. I'm delighted that you could spend some time with me, and I don't think I'm going to be very long, but I say that every week and then I still get close to an hour. But we'll see. Who knows? I podcast about every 2 weeks, or I make a video. I shouldn't say podcast. I should say channel. This is a channel and this is an episode. I make an episode about every 2 weeks. This one's going up a little early. I tend to drift towards Sunday in the academic year. I am an academic, a university professor by trade, and a knitter. Knitting is my hobby. I haven't done a full introduction lately, so maybe I'll just, do it here. For new viewers, I have gotten a handful new viewers. I think it's because I've been a little active on commenting on other channels stuff, so I think maybe people are noticing me that way. I'm not sure. Maybe through Instagram too. I don't really know. But anyway, I'm a former 7th Avenue fashion designer, knitwear designer. I designed sweaters and cut and sew knits for 10 years before I left to raise a family, basically. And I wanted an easier way of life. Because the fashion industry in New York City is very cutthroat, and I didn't feel like I had the flexibility to even be home with one of my sons if they were sick. So it's just, a lot of it is political crap with this country and the way that we treat mothers and women. Yeah, this is also going back. My kids are now adults, so I have raised them. They have left. I'm an empty nester. I am not with their dad. I haven't been with their dad since they were very little. I spent a lot of time as a single woman, and I am now dating the love of my life. He is the love of my life. Okay, this isn't about him or me. It's about my knitting and spinning, and I just wanted to chat with you today about and give you an update on my progress and where I'm at, and show you what I'm working on, and show you some of the things that I played around with the past couple weeks. So yeah, I have some good stuff. I think you're really gonna like what I have to show you today. First, I'll just get out of the way what I'm wearing. So I have talked about this on previous episodes. This is the My Boy Lollipop by Nancy Ritchie. I have knit it out of my own hand spun. So this is the first hand spun sweater I've made out of hand spun, of my own hand spun. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. I did a lot of mods. Everything's on my project page. I made it a boxy fit instead of the very fitted negative ease style that Nancy intended. I just really was interested in this sort of, and I've modified this so much too. This makes a nice sort of sweetheart neckline if you follow the pattern. I followed the pattern, but then my hand spun really relaxed after I knit it, and even though I followed protocol for spinning yarn where you soak it and all that, it soaked for hours, maybe not hours, but at least an hour, and it still grew, so I ended up having to cut the neck out and then re-stitch the trim. So I have brought everything in a lot more than Nancy's does, than her original design. And then I've got the crop boxy fit. Anyway, go look at my pattern page. You can see everything that I did. I have pictures there of me cutting the sweater, cutting the trim off, and the mods are all listed. I'm a pretty meticulous note taker when I work. I think that comes from my old design roots. So I love Ravelry for this because I don't have to carry around a piece of paper. If I have my phone, I can put the note right in to Ravelry, right on Ravelry. So it's really awesome, and that helps me also keep track because I have multiple whips at all times. So that helps me keep track of what I'm doing. I love it. I love it for that. I love its functionality for that type of thing. It's really awesome. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing. This is Martha, my mannequin, and she is wearing my latest FO. So I finally finished the Aileas sweater or cardigan. I think it might be called cardigan. Do I have the pattern? Oh, I do. I do. I'll show you a picture here on screen. I just wanted to get the right proper pattern name. I think it's just called the Aileas. Yeah. It's just called the Aileas. See? Right there. By Isabell Kraemer. And I am surprised at how this yarn grew. If you've been watching the past couple weeks, or if you just go back and take a peek at my episode even from last week, where I was still working on one of the sleeves and I had yet to do the collar and plackets, you'll notice that it looked a lot snugger. A lot snugger. I'm not objecting to the fact that it grew. It grew in length as well, so it was a little bit shorter. So yeah, I was super surprised. The yarn I used is from Green Mountain Spinnery. I have a lot of yarn left over too. I think I've been overdoing it on my yarn purchases for garments. So I try to get a sweater's quantity, but I think I'm overdoing it a bit because I can tell that the next two sweaters that I'll show you that are my works in progress, I'm going to have more yarn. I'm going to have extra yarn, maybe even a full extra. I don't mind a partial skein, but if it's a whole skein or several skeins, yeah, I'm bummed. But in this case, with Green Mountain Spinnery, I have a full skein and a partial skein. So I could have done one less. I think I bought 8 skeins, right? Yeah, I bought 8 of this, and I could have just used, I could have bought 7, and then I would have just had a partial skein. So there you go. It's this yarn right here, Green Mountain Spinnery, the Mewsic DK base, 100% fine American wool. The skeins are on the small side. They're only 2 ounces instead of being 3.5, which is what a normal, like, I don't think, oh yeah, like this is a Indie Dye DK skein. That's, I think it's 100 grams. And yeah, and it's more yardage. So these were a little bit small, which is why I went with 8. I think I also was just trying to do, I bought the Green Mountain Spinnery at Rhinebeck last year. So this is my Rhinebeck 2018 yarn that's already been knit up, which is super exciting. And I was, in festival mode. So you sit there looking at the label going, how much of this do you think I need? And you sort of like, in your head, do a little math. What I had actually done ahead of going to Rhinebeck last year was I ballparked how much I needed of different weights. So I ballparked how much I would need of fingering weight, how much I would need of DK weight, sport weight, and worsted weight. So that I could just open my phone and go, oh, okay, DK weight, I need 1,000 yards, or whatever it is. I think I figured out more or less what I needed in all those weights. So that's a little handy trick that I use when I'm going to a festival, like just to have that information at my fingertips instead of standing there in the booth trying to do math in my head. All the math I had to do was just based on 180 ton, whatever the number was. So somehow I either miscalculated or I overbought. I definitely overbought. So what else can I tell you? Let me talk to you about the pattern. I love it for many reasons. It is a very structured, I just noticed my microphone may not be in the best position to pick up my voice, so that might have created a little interference for you. But anyway, I love the details on this sweater that make it seem like a jacket. So it has these very tiny and super useless pockets. I almost wish, like, if I were going to knit this again, I would make these at least I would make them wider. There's no reason why they need to be this tiny because she started them from the side seam. I'm talking as if you could see. So you could see the pocket starts there. Down the side seam is a cable, which really adds stability and structure to this garment. It's really nice. The pocket starts there, and then you create this other mini cable that begins right here. I think you can see that. Begins right there. There's no reason that couldn't have been moved over, and also that the rib could have been started sooner so that this is a more useful pocket, because I don't think you could put anything in there. Yeah, that's a cell phone in there. Yeah, I don't know. Those were a bit of a disappointment. I love the way that she structured the sleeve cap and the set-in sleeve. It's beautiful. So this is top down. It's an excellent fit on me as well as on Martha. Martha is my size. All her measurements are to my spec. With the exception of her hip is a little bit smaller than mine, but not by much. I think it's like a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch, something like that. So I could have padded them out on her, but I would have had to put some cloth on her too, over the padding. For that little amount, I figured I could just figure it out. Up here, she's 100% me. So like all her horizontal and vertical measurements match mine. And that's the way you buy your form based on the vertical, because you can't change the vertical, but you can change the horizontal. So I have padded out her bust so that it fits my bust, and that was really all I had to do to make this size 12 be my size. It's not a commercial size 12. It's more like a commercial size 10, I'd say. So don't get hung up if you decide to buy your own body form. Don't get hung up by the number here. Make sure the measurements, the vertical measurements from here to the bust, from the shoulder to the armpit, all of that, make sure that matches, because those are things. And it's also the shoulder line. You can't really change the shoulder line all that much. You can make it bigger, but you can't really make it smaller. But yeah, so it has a beautiful sleeve set. Though I did make one mod. She wanted you to do the cable down the sleeve, the underside of the sleeve, which I just thought was ridiculous, because I'm like, how many people are going to see that? How many times am I going to reach up and grab something during the day? And to be frank, like I've been working on this sweater since March, and I really wanted it to get done. So I didn't really want to do something else on the garment that would slow me down. So I was more interested in just being able to knit that sleeve around and around and around and get it done. So there's that. The other things that she did that were interesting in the design construction was this front cable, and then the way that she had you do the trimming, and also the bottom, where you, after you're done with the rib, you knit one row and then you bind off knitwise. So that was super cool. I love the finish that it gave. I do wish, like on here, I think you can see it quite well, that the collar seems very wide. Like the neckline for my size probably should have been in another 1/2 inch. Like this scoop that she has you create while you're knitting, it's top down, so you create this part pretty quickly. It's a little bit deep for me, for my size, for this size. I think on me it actually looks better than it looks on Martha, so because Martha's static and people move around, so it actually looks better. I think it's going to be a really awesome outerwear piece, like something to wear in the fall when it's not cold enough for a coat, but you want an extra layer. I think it will be really, really nice for that. The sleeves are also pretty much straight. You don't do a lot of decreasing. Some reason when I knit the sleeves, I don't know if I put this in my pattern notes, but I will, because I wrote it on the pattern, on the paper pattern. For some reason, when I did the sleeve, I came up about 8 or 10 stitches short over the count that she said I could have, and I followed the directions. I had the same experience with both sleeves, because after I did one, I was like, I wrote myself some notes, and then I just followed the directions again, and it still ended up that way for me. So I don't know if there's a math error in the pattern. and maybe no one brought it to her attention because whatever, you know, everyone kind of knits their own sleeves. Yeah, I don't really know. But I ended up doing, she called for, I think, 8 or 9 decreases, and I only did 4 in it. And you end up with this fairly straight tube for your arm, which makes it look more like a jacket. So I appreciated that. I think it would look quite nice layered up over, like this could be my top layer over some other cooler or warmer or lighter weight layering pieces. So like a fingering weight sweater or something like that. I'm a little concerned about how this Green Mountain Spinnery yarn is going to wear. It seems very farm yarn to me. I think that's intentional. The color's Brickhouse, by the way. I don't think I said that. I probably put it on screen though. Yeah, I'm not really sure it's going to wear incredibly well. I have a feeling this could look like, it looks pretty polished right now. But I think as soon as it gets a little wear, it's going to maybe start to bag in a couple places and look more like weekend wear rather than like wear to work wear. So I do kind of think it's more weekend wear. I try to make things that I can wear to work versus weekend because I don't have any shortage of weekend clothes. And also weekends are shorter than the work week. And I can wear my work clothes. My work is not overly formal, so as I said, I work at a university, so I can easily transition. My clothes can transition weekend to work, but there's kind of a line with the workwear. Like I need it to look polished. Like I can't look too you know, like I just rolled off of a farm wagon. I need to look a little more polished than that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that look. I love that look for weekends. In fact, I kind of even have to change before I go to the grocery store because I'm dressed so casually most of the time. But yeah, so I'm a little concerned it's not going to wear that well, but we'll see. I do have a sweater shaver. I'm positive it's going to pill. So I may be doing some shaving this winter with this sweater. My friends are going to love it. I have a feeling they are going to love it. I'm having a little rosé because it's afternoon and it's Friday. So yeah, starting a little bit of cocktail. Just poured myself a little wine as I started the podcast or the episode. Yeah, so that is my one finished object, besides what I finished with spinning, which is pretty substantial. So I'm going to move on to whips. I'm going to first update you on my Chauncey sweater, another Isabell Kraemer pattern. Put a picture on screen of what hers looked like. And this is mine. I don't remember where it was last week or last time in my last episode. I don't know. I don't remember. I think I had just finished the color work on it. So I have put on a lot of inches in the body. So you can see there. I think I have about 4 more inches to go according to the pattern, and then I'll be done with the body. And I can move on to the sleeves. The yarn I am using, and I'm going to give you a nice close-up of the yoke because the yoke is gorgeous. The yarn I'm using is this right here. It is Wool. Ooh, color just changed there. That's more representational of what the color looks like. It is. Do I have the tag? Why do I never have the tag? Oh yes, here it is. Hooray. Hurrah! Okay, it is Wool, wash fingering, and Wool is 100% machine washable certified organic. And there you go, there's your put up. So yeah, this is how much I have of my second skein, which is pretty substantial. I will be surprised if I need to break into a third skein to finish the body. I have 2 more skeins, so here is another sweater quantity where I overdid it. So I think I'm going to have 1 complete unused skein, at least. It won't be 2 because this won't do the body and the sleeves, but I'll have 1. So that's a bit of a bummer. Got to think about what I'm going to do about that. Yeah. The beautiful yoke that you're seeing here with a little tiny bit of cat hair. This is Spincycle. So this is one color called Truthbomb. It makes a rainbow. I got from a dusky purple down through a limey green in my color work. I did not use the whole skein because it does make a full rainbow and then it repeats. To say that this is what I have left is a bit of a lie. I actually had more, but I've already used a portion of this. This one ended at the yellowy green. I've used what was yellowy green through red, like a brick red kind of color. So it went yellowy green, yellow, orange, and then orangey red. So that is what has been used up. So you could see it cycles back to the blue, purple, green. That's what you're seeing on the outside. So you get a rainbow and a partial. So yeah, it's an interesting yarn. It is magical. It does this beautiful color gradation that and I think you could get something similar with any of the Spincycle yarns. Like this is another color that's just basically two colors. It's like a blue and purple, so it goes from blue to purple to blue again, or like a blue green. See it there too. There's like a lavender, so right now what's in the center is lavender. So you could do this type of, this was meant to be a 2-color sweater, so, and that's what it is, because this was one color. So I'm very delighted with the way it knit up. I was looking for something to pair, like a color to pair with the gold that was different from the norm, from what you normally see paired with gold. You see like a lot of cream, you see pink, you see gray and black. So I wanted to do something that was colors and colorful, so I'm super happy. I was getting a pedicure the other day and I was knitting on this, and the pedicurist asked me if I was knitting this for Easter. So this was just literally like a couple days ago, and so it's August, and she was asking if I was making it for Easter. I think she didn't realize that I still had to do the sleeves. So I think she thought it was a short sleeve sweater and with these colors. It was very funny and very cute. And I said, no, it's for the fall. It will have sleeves. I'm knitting another, 4 or 6 inches on the bottom. So, but I love it, and I think the colors work on my skin. I remember when gold was popular in the 70s. I wore a lot of it then. Yeah, that is my Chauncey sweater. I hope you find some inspiration and interest. I am absolutely following the pattern to spec on this. I don't think I've done any mods. The only mod I did was that my gauge swatch was a little bit bigger, more stitches per inch than the pattern, so I just went down a size to get the size that I want. And so far so good. It looks pretty good. Once I bind off, I will do a double check on trying it on, but also assuming that that gold is superwash, so I think it'll relax and grow in the blocking. So I'll probably get some extra width anyway. Okay, let me show you what I did with that other, what was the yellow, orange, red, or rust, or whatever, orangey red, I think it is rust, brick color that was in the center. Let me show you what I have done with that. You're gonna love this. So last week I talked about knitting a throwback sweater. So the Throwback by Andrea Mowry. This is my first time doing an Andrea Mowry pattern. I've never done one before. I have birds of a feather in my queue, and it is something that is on my mind. I have what I think is the most amazing yarn to knit a birds of a feather. I just need to get in the right mind frame to knit a shawl, which maybe around Christmas, or even I'm going to Europe in October, so maybe then, maybe for my travel knitting, that might be a good travel knit because it'll take forever and it'll be lightweight. So Yeah, so I am through the yoke. Just trying to figure out how's the best way to show you this. I'm through the yoke on my throwback sweater. I am knitting it in the round. The pattern is written to be knitted flat, but I'm knitting it in the round so that, and then I plan to steek it. So what you're seeing right there is my markers for for the steek stitches. So I have 5 extra stitches in the center there. And this is what I got when I knit. And so if you remember last week, if you're a returning viewer, you're going to have remembered that, or you'll know that I was quite worried about the color. Not about the Spincycle colors, but about the base color. So, and I have to say, like, I'm pretty excited about this now. Like, now that I've knit it, I think it's so gorgeous. So what you're looking at in terms of I'll talk about the main color in a sec, but what you're looking at in terms of the Spincycle, here's the rest of Truthbomb. This started up here, the yellow, then it's here, this yellow to orange fade. That's one Truthbomb. The second I had a second skein of Truthbomb. So the second skein of Truthbomb was this, started up here as this blue with the color in the middle and went from, then switched to a turquoise and faded out to a green, like a limey green, which you see all the way down here. These were a bit disappointing down here. They were a little low contrast for me. Like they were too close in color. Like I really love the high contrast I'm getting here, but down here I didn't really quite get the oomph that I wanted. The purple part here is all from Ruination, the skein that I showed you a few minutes ago. So it started up here as a deep dark purple, and then it went down here and did like a little purple fade, so it slowly got lighter. And then when I got down here, it was so light it was blending in, so I knit from the other side. So you can see I have one row that's the pale purple, and you can barely see it, right? But the blue that was on the other side, so I knit from the outside, gave me a better contrast. So I wished I'd thought of that ahead. I was knitting at night. I was watching a movie and knitting that part, and I realized, like, I got about halfway through the row and I was like, this really, I can barely tell the difference. And that was in like sort of the half light that you watch a movie in. And so I put it down and I just said, you know what, in the morning I'll take a look and see if it's really awful. And I figured, you know what, it's okay. It's not great. It's okay. But then second row, you're supposed to do 2 rows of the same color. The second row, and it is 2 rows of the same color. I just pulled from a different part in the ball. It's more contrasty. So I sort of wish that I had done the blue as well, but whatever. It's fine. I'm fine with it. But yeah, okay. So that is my Spincycle, which I've showed you all here. So you can also see, like, and I think this is probably true of the worsted version as well. I hardly used any. These 2 were full skeins, and this was a partial skein that I already used in my Chauncey, and I still have some left. This is the same color. This is also Truthbomb. This is just like the colors, the spectrum of colors on here is a little bit more muted in this skein. So I was thinking, like, after I got done with this, if you wanted to follow in my footsteps and do a fingering weight version of this, so she has not written it for fingering, she's written it for worsted. I'll tell you what I did in a sec. But if you wanted to do this, I wonder if you could also do this with the worsted. Buy 1 skein of Truthbomb, say, because Truthbomb comes in the rainbow colors, and then just wind off the 3 colors you want to use, because I think these were about 50 grams. I think they're written for yardage, not grams. But I think they were all about 50. I should have weighed them, but I only used about 10 grams per color, and I'm done with the color work. And so now I have these for something else. So they'll all be used for something else. I don't know, some other color work, I guess. I get to continue to play with Spincycle. Besides these 3, I think I have, 3 other colors over on, I have them out on display on a beautiful handmade pottery cake plate that I just used for display, and they look amazing. So they make me smile every time I see them. These will go back over there probably. So I was thinking, like, because last week I was lamenting about the cost of it. So the Spincycle skeins run around $32 to $36 each, which to just use a dab, wow, find a color that makes multiple colors, and then, like I said, wind them off, and then you could create a nice, I mean, look at these two. These are the same color, this blue-green and this orange-yellow. That's the exact same color. I could have, like, pulled the purples. I could have pulled the purple off of this for my purple color, most likely. I don't think I would have gotten that intense of a purple, but maybe I could have picked, you know, differentiated the skein. Like, you could probably, before you wound it, you could probably figure out exactly how much you needed. But yeah, that's a little tip to save money and not end up with a lot of extra yarn there. All right, my base color, my main color is this yarn right here. This is I mean, this can only be described as mauve, I think, because it's not quite pink, it's not quite purple. It's got like a black heather in it. I don't know if you can see. Hopefully the camera will focus. You gotta focus, man. Look, there's nothing else in the frame. There you go. So you can see a little bit of black in the heather. This is Tuka Wool, so I bought it at EYF, so I'm using EYF stash. Tuka Wool. It is 100% Finnish wool. It doesn't really say what kind of sheep. I don't know if Finnish sheep are all the same breed. But again, it's a toothy rustic wool. It's going to be really good for steeking. I remember when I bought it at EYF, I remember standing back. I definitely wanted a sweater's quantity of Tuka Wool. I knew that going in to the festival. And it was the first booth I went to because she had nobody in her booth. And the booths that were near the entrance were already packed, especially Pink Hazel. Oh my goodness. You couldn't get near Pink Hazel until after lunch. And by then, almost everything was gone. So I went into the Ysolda Teague booth and I looked at the Tuka Wool and I stood back and looked at all the colors and I chose this one. So I didn't choose it knowing what I was going to make. I just picked up, she had which was very helpful. She had listed by size, approximate sizing, how much you needed, how many skeins you needed. So I believe I bought 7 skeins of this. I don't think I'm going to use it all. I can tell already because I haven't finished a skein. I'm very close to finishing a skein, but I'm also very close to the armpit. And my general rule of thumb is that the yoke part from your neck to your armpit is 1/3 of the body. It can be less. It actually can be less, or it can be even close to half. If you were a small busted person, it's probably close to half of what you're going to need. Big busted people need more. We have more length to go around. More girth, I guess, to go around. So I've only used 1 skein to do the yoke. So at best, I'm going to need 2 more skeins for the yoke, and then I know I only need about another 20% to do the sleeves. So that means this is probably a 5 skein sweater. So I'll have 2 extra skeins, which is, again, a bit of a bummer. So I got to get better at this whole sweater quantities thing. I got to figure it out. I don't know if it's because I did color work that I used less than what she thought we would need, or what. I don't know. Maybe it's my gauge. Don't know. Have not figured it out, but I think I'm getting closer to figuring out what I need for me, for my sweater's quantity. So yeah, so far I'm loving this. I'm loving the knit. The yarn is coarse. It is got a very toothy, rustic feel. I expect, just from judging from the swatch, that it will soften. The swatch is 100 times softer than the unblocked knit that I have here. So yeah, should be good. Should be good. I'm excited about this. I will be steeking this, if all goes to plan. I will be steeking it with Kristy Glass on screen. That's her version of Rhinebeck sweaters this year. So she's doing steeking on video. So you will hopefully see it steeked. I don't know who's going to cut it, because if I have it on, someone else has to cut it. It'll probably be her, or maybe her assistant, or someone else who's standing near me in line. Something like that, I imagine. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so that's a new cast on. I have another new cast on. This one kind of took me by surprise that I'm going to have a little sip of wine. It took me by surprise that it even was something that I cast on, and I don't know what impulses grabbed a hold of me, because I've been thinking about this sweater for a really, really long time. But yet, on the other hand, I have like a lot of on the floor here. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 sweater quantities caked and ready to be cast on. So this has been caked and ready to be cast on for at least, I'd say, like 14 to 15 months. So without further ado, let me show you. This is a new design of my own. I am not sure I'm going to put this into a pattern yet. This will be a long time coming if I do decide to put it into a pattern. But this is my cast on. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but the idea of this is that I have several. So this is for me. It's a layering piece. It's a rib stitch. It's a called Mistake rib. I think it's called mistake rib. Hang on, I had my pattern notes. Did they fall on the floor? That's that. Hang on. I had them right here. I saw them. Oh, here they are. Yeah, mistake rib. It's called mistake rib. In my garment here, it looks so tiny, but it will actually grow quite a bit. So let me show you it up close. That's what it looks like. I'm using Qing Fibre Panda on a sport base. I think this was like a random sport base that she just dyed one day. Like, I bought this yarn I think in 2017, so I've had it in my stash a long time. I had intended to make a different design with it, and then when I swatched for that design, I didn't like it, so I ended up buying a different yarn for that design. And then this was sitting ready for me to make something all that time, like for about 14-15 months. And last fall, I realized that I have a whole bunch of, I'm going to show you a really lousy sketch, but from J. Crew, I have a whole bunch of these like really simple crew neck rib knit layering pieces. So I have a few of them, and this is practically my uniform in the fall, and am going even into winter, like when it's cooler, warmer winter days. I will put on a pair of jeans, a pair of boots, and this J. Crew basic layering piece, and that's what I wear. I'm to the point with them for this winter that going into this fall, that they really need to be replaced. Like the black one, I think I could still get away with, but the colors just, they're not looking as fresh and cool and everything. I shaved them last year and they cleaned up a bit. I've had them for several years. So what I did for this sweater is I spec'd out that sweater, and yeah, now I'm designing something out of, I'm making a version. So this one will be a crew neck, but it's going to have a Henley placket. So it's going to have a little button placket on it. And I'm also going to be tipping it in a bright yellow. So I'm going to be tipping the sleeve and the bottom and also the placket and collar with a row or two of bright yellow, which I think will look really cool. I might borrow from Isabell Kraemer's knit across the ribs and then bind off technique, because I think it looks really polished. So I think that could be interesting to do on this. I want to show you my swatch though. So this is the yarn, same yarn, soaked and blocked. So look at the difference in it. So let me hold those up together. So when you're looking at my garment and thinking it's small, just look how it flattens out in the blocking. So it's a lot less textured. So I'm going to get a lot of a lot more width than I have right here. My J. Crew ones do have negative ease. The bust measures 36 inches around. My bust is 39, so that's 3 inches of negative ease in the bust line. But along the waist and hip, it fits nicely. So, because I think it kind of, well, maybe I've just stretched it out that way. I'm not really sure. Yeah, it's a little wider on the bottom than it is in the bust by about 1.5 inches. So it fits my hip. My waist, it just goes down. It's a straight cut. It's like a box cut. But yeah, I have been thinking about knitting this for over a year. So I'm super pleased that I finally cast it on. It is top down. And what you're seeing here is the back. This is the back. This little flap here is the front, and this is where the placket will be right along here. So there's the neck. It'll be a set-in sleeve that you knit top down. The reason that I'm kind of hesitant to make this a written pattern is that the mistake rib is you have to have, it's a 4+3 stitch pattern. So I don't know, I just think grading it's going to be a nightmare. Like, I already don't know if my pattern is going to match up here, and I'm going to fudge it to make it match by, I'll cast on stitches in here, whatever stitches I need to make it match. So I'll figure it out when I knit in the round, and then when I join the other front, because what will happen is that I will knit the other front exactly like this, and then some stitches will be cast on right here in the front to accommodate the placket, and then stitches, of course, will be cast on in the, so all the way around the pattern has to match up. So I've got to figure that out. I will, yeah, I got to figure it out. I'll probably allow an extra row right here along the front, because that's what I'm going to use to pick up the rib placket. But yeah, I think it's going to be really cute. I think I'm going to love it. My plan, I actually have yarn set aside for 3 versions of this. So one of those versions will probably be stockinette with some color blocking. So that will be an easy pattern to write. I may write that pattern first and then put in the variations later, or maybe just some notes on it. I don't want to make 3 different patterns. I want it to be one pattern with options for knitters to figure out. So that's my plan. I'm not going to be in a rush to it. This design will probably, if it gets published by January, that'll be surprising. I've had some near misses with other design work that unfortunately, like, it was sometimes it was my fault, sometimes other people's faults, where I just haven't I had intended to design, I had 2 yarn companies I was intending to design for. Those were my fault. And then a call for a magazine that I didn't get. So, for a knitting magazine. So I don't know. I have a lot of free time I'm not crushed by that at all. Like, I actually am happy that I, have more time to knit for me, because that's what it's about, right? Okay, and I told you about the yarn. So this is the tags. You can just get, she calls this tweed sock, but when I measured it and did the yardage, it really knits up more like a sport weight. It actually is, I have one of my other sweaters quantities that I'm planning to make a version of this with is Plucky Knitters, and hers is actually called a sport base, and I got a smaller gauge swatch with her yarn than I did with this yarn. So I'm pretty sure this is sport. Like, I went around the mulberry bush on it when I was planning on doing another design. Also, what's kind of cool about this, she says it's 100% merino too. She doesn't say it's superwash, so I don't know if that's just because it was an accident, it was an oops buy, or what. But I have never seen this yarn in her repertoire since. I keep hearing crying, and I think it's the cat, but he's asleep over there, so it's definitely not the cat. Oh, it's whistling. I hope you're not hearing that. Okay. I'm back. Sorry, I thought it may be my boyfriend, like, trying to get my attention, because sometimes he unexpectedly drops by, and yeah, it was the neighbors whistling for their dog who was running around our yard. So yeah, that is my plan with this. I'm pretty pleased with it so far. Knowing that it's going to block out like this is interesting. So I mean, I think it looks cool like this, but I know it's going to block. It's definitely going to block more flat. I need more width anyway. I don't want it to be tight. I just want it to be. I don't want it to be, you know. I don't mind no ease, but I don't really want it to be hugely negative either. But yeah, I'll keep showing it to you. I'll keep updating you. I wasn't able to do the stitch pattern when I cast on for the shoulder. So because of the short rows, there was just no way I was going to be able to keep it straight. So I do have stockinette at the shoulder, but I don't think you're really going to see it much when this is stretched out. Like, I don't think it'll be as noticeable as it is right now. Man, it's just the way it goes, right? Just the way it goes. Okay, yeah, so that's my latest design work. I haven't designed anything in a while. I mean, I've designed them on paper, but I haven't actually knit any designs in a long while. So yeah, and also these are my 3 whips, the ones that I've been working on over the past couple weeks anyway. I have made a little progress on my ranunculus. I want to talk to you guys about that because I have people interested. So I have not yet swatched for it, though I did cake the yarn. This is a mega cake. It's like 500 yards of yarn. And this is my own hand spun from Kim Dyes Yarn. I didn't cake I caked 2 of the skeins. I left one uncaked because I wasn't sure I'd needed it. So this is fiber from Kim Dyes Yarn. She's having a big update right now. I think this weekend. I think I have to go back and look at the post. I saw it earlier today. But yeah, though, this is this gorgeous, gorgeous silk merino blend. It's 80-20, 80 merino, 20 silk. And it has it's just this beautiful soft pink color. It's got little bits of lavender and gold and brown in it. It's so, so pretty. I love it. And I'm going to be knitting a ranunculus out of this. I did not get around to swatching before filming, but I will do that this weekend, and I will be ready to cast on when everyone else is ready. So what I think I'm going to do is open up a little chatter thread on my Ravelry group page, which is Whisky and Wool. I think it's just called Whisky and Wool, but I'll put it on screen, whatever it's called, and it'll be linked because I always link my show notes. So you can just click. My show notes are linked to. So my show notes are in the box, but also there's a link to my linked show notes in Ravelry. So you can just go over to Ravelry and find everything that I'm talking about, pretty much. With very, very few exceptions. So I will put another discussion page there that'll just be about the ranunculus. I think there's just a couple people, which is totally fine. I'm happy to just knit with one other person. It's just nice to have some company and some motivation. What I need to know is more or less when we want to start. So I was thinking to start at the end of August, or like maybe September 1, I think. Anyway, I'll figure it out. I don't want to stay on. September 1 is Sunday of Labor Day weekend. So maybe we start September 1. And I mean, if you can't cast on that day, that's fine. But like in that period of time, and then maybe we knit through the end of October. Like it'll be like a nice, long, relaxing 8-week knit along, or whenever people are done, whoever wants to join. So yeah, I'm excited. I think this is going to be a beautiful ranunculus, and this is really nice. It's a nice design, and it's a beautiful design, and it's this yarn, like you knit it really loose. If you don't know, you knit on like a 10.5 or size 10 needle, and so it ends up being really loose, lacy. It's going to be perfect for holiday parties and holiday wearing. So I'm excited to get this on the needles, and yeah, so I'm going to swatch that. I'm going to try to get my gold sweater done, at least one of these 3 done ahead of casting this on. So I should be okay. I think I can get at least one of them done, or pretty close to being done. close enough that I'll feel comfortable with yet another cast on. So yeah. All right, that is my knitting content. I'm going to move on to spinning. Just move these guys out of the way. So spinning content, I have been spinning, I've been plying. That whole thing that I talked about two weeks ago about taking a single ply commercial indie dyed yarn and plying it to make some DK skeins, some individual DK skeins. That is what I've been doing mostly with my spinning. I did do a little bit of fiber spinning, but mostly I did that. So here it is. Here's all my skeins. And I talked about last week that DK weight are quite nice for hats and things like that, quick cowls and things like that make really good gift knitting. So I thought, I don't know if I have any. Well, I will after I get, now that I'm done with this. But I don't have any stash of DK weight yarns, indie dyed yarns. If I happen to have a little left over, that's what I have. So last week I showed the Vertices Unite baby blanket that I made out of my leftover DK weight superwash yarns, and I ended up grabbing a fingering skein or two to round out the color palette. And then I just held 2 strands together. But it occurred to me that I could actually ply those 2 strands and make yarn on my spinning wheel. So after I was done with that blanket, I grabbed a bunch of skeins and of singles. And if you are returning, you're going to know this will sound very familiar. But if you're new, I realized that I don't really like knitting with singles. They're fine for shawls, but they're quite delicate. So I didn't want to. I've been trying to de-stash all my singles. So a lot of what you see here are singles that were in my de-stash that I've now pulled out of my de-stash to mess around with. And I'm really pleased with the results. So this was actually in my de-stash. This is this was a skein of single ply by Aileas. She's a Greek designer. I bought on a whim like a mystery bag from her because they were deeply discounted, and I was just curious about her yarn. So this is called Gorilla Girls is the color. Her single ply is called Zeus. It's 100% superwash merino, 100 grams. And now it's a 2-ply DK weight yarn that I will probably use for another Vertices Unite baby blanket. So my goal here was to put together or to build a stash of single skein DK weight that I could either use for baby blankets or I could use for gift knitting this Christmas season, because I don't have any. I mean, now yes, Rhinebeck's coming, of course there's plenty of time to buy some, but I also need to really knit down my fingering weight. So this is a good way, because I have like a ridiculous amount of single skeins of fingering weight. So this was a really good way to get some yarn, take yarn that's just sitting and I have no plans for, and make it into something that I hopefully will have plans for. So that's a Aileas. I have 2 other skeins of Aileas. I think this is one here. This is the colorway Zeus. I think what's most surprising to me, like this Gorilla Girls is amazing. It is like the most beautiful color, and my partner saw it and said, "Oh my God, you always wore those colors when you were younger," because we've known each other a really long time, which is the beauty of it, actually. So yeah, it was interesting that he recognized it as a color that I always wear. But what really surprised me, I think, was how much these changed from single to being a double. Yeah, so that really surprised me. Here's another one that really surprised me. This one's by Countess Ablaze. This is called Girl at the Rock Show. And I'm going to show you a picture of what this looked like on as a single ply. But it was primarily white. And now as a 2-ply, it's crazy colorful. Like, honestly, it reads green. Like, I don't know if you're really reading the color as green on screen as it actually is in person. It reads green with a little bit of cream and those flecks of purple. So yeah, super interesting. I mean, it is as green as this one here. Yeah, greens aren't showing up too well, but I'll try to fix that in editing. Yeah. So I think that's one of the things that I'm realizing. This is Orange Jellyfish Dreams, and this one looks pretty similar to how it did as a single. It does have sparkle in it, which you really can't see. This will probably end up being hats. A hat or cowl for a Christmas gift later this year. This one was fun. This was the last one I did. It is a sort of a Frankenstein skein. I took bits and pieces of some leftover blue single plies that I had on hand. So I ended up with like 3 different groupings of single ply, and one was quite big, so it ran all the way through. But here you can see very definitely that this here it's plied with a solid blue, or like a semi-tonal blue, and somewhere in there I have a different the blue changed colors. I had one scrap, I don't even see it, it had green, which I thought would be okay. There's a little bit right there, a little bit of green right there. But yeah, they were just little dribs and drabs, so I just like decided to play around, and I think for a baby blanket, the fact that it changes colors is going to be fine. Like the Vertices Unite baby blanket, it'll look great with changing colors. And so I ended up with a little bit more yardage this way than I would have, I think. Maybe it's around 200. So the goal was the pattern, the Vertices Unite pattern, calls for 5 skeins that are pretty much 200 yards each. I mean, a couple of the colors you use less, but yeah, so that was the idea, that I get 200 yards or so of color. And then this was another experiment. This one is actually 2 colors plied together, a solid line weight from Pearl Soho, so it was like a solid green. Do I have any hanging around? No, I don't. All right. Pearl Soho has a whole bunch of single ply fingering weight, light fingering weight, I actually think it is, colors available, like on their website. And I saw they were having a sale, and these colors were marked down. This lime green that you're seeing in here, the solid lime green, I picked up a bunch of them that were marked down. So I think I have this one, I have like a turquoise blue, and I have a kind of a dirty lemony yellow color too. So I took this lime green color that I had actually knit a bit into a sweater that I ended up frogging, and so the yarn was just sitting there, and I pulled a skein that was Walk Collection. So like, this is not the label of the green, but this is the label. So it was this yarn, it was Cottage Merino, 100% superwash merino, single ply from Walk Collection, Catherine Walk. She is a German dyer, German indie dyer. So I had a partial skein that was mostly dark green and it had bits of red. She called it Speckled Rainbow. And it was beautiful, and I had used it in the same project that I ended up frogging this one from. So I had frogged it, I had a partial skein, so I ended up plying those two together to make it a little bit brighter, because to be honest, the Speckled Rainbow color really kind of looked like Christmassy colors. It was a little bit like it was a little red and green. It could easily have been Christmas socks if it had been sock yarn and not a single ply. So now I have a double ply that's a bright green. This will probably go in a baby blanket. Yeah, I think this will look actually really awesome with paired with this blue. And then I don't know, maybe this green is awfully close to this green, so I don't know if I would put those together necessarily. I mean, I could even see like this darker blue in there. Maybe the Countess Ablaze color is another color that could be in there. So I'm well on my way here to having a baby blanket plan with those 3. And then in the pinks, I have the Walk Collection from last time. I thought I would put those 2 together, and then maybe throw in, I have this one too. This might be too close. So this is Spectrum Fibers. This is very neon-y. It's beautiful, but very neon-y colors. And this, wow, this is just, I loved it as a single ply. I really, really love it as a DK 2 ply. this may end up being for my niece for a Christmas gift for her. My little niece who's 12 and still loves these colors and wears these colors. I shouldn't say it like that. It sounds like when you get old you stop liking those colors, but yeah, these colors are still very dominant in her wardrobe, and I think she would really love having something out of these neon-y colors. So yeah, so maybe I might put this green with these two to brighten this package up a bit. And I do have a solid orange I just showed briefly that's out because I thought maybe that would make a nice pairing. And then, I don't know, one other color. I still have in my bag for spinning, I still have, I think, I still have the Stranded Dye Works and the Qing Fibre, and I pulled out a couple others. This is a partial skein that I had used in my Sunset Highway, so I think I'm going to apply this for a hat or something for someone, or a cowl for someone this holiday season. And I have a couple others in here that will either be Christmas knits or baby knits. So gift knitting. So apparently I use DK for gift knitting. That's the takeaway here. Yeah, and then the only other spinning that I've done, I spun up. I had some fiber that I got from the Green Goat Farm, which is a farm that's here in New Jersey. It's a little far from me. It's about an hour away, hour and a half, hour with no traffic. 2 hours with traffic because they're on the shore. They're right in a beach community. Nevertheless, it's a mohair goat farm, and the goats are adorable. And I actually went there and learned how to spin. And when I learned how to spin, this was in May. I learned how to spin from Alex Creates. He's amazing, just amazingly creative and inspirational to hang out with. Sarah, who owns the farm, offered up some rolags to those of us who were taking the class with Alex. So these were the rolags that I have now spun. I've now made them 2-ply, and what you're seeing here is there were actually 3 colors. So I don't know if you can see the 2 colors in the green there. So it's like a limey green, actually not far different from the lime green that was Pearl Soho. A limey green, and then a blend of the lime green and purple, and then a purple solid. So it was like this muted mixture of colors, and then the lime green and the purple. And I don't know what they were meant for, but she said they were for striping. I didn't stripe them though. I just I plied them up. Because I liked the way that they looked together. I just really think they look great, and I think these will be, they're small yardages. They're around 100 yards each. I think that I got a little more on the green for some reason. That I actually have a little bit of the purple alone left over, tiny little dab that I just rolled off into a ball, and I'll apply it with something else down the road. Like I'll do another Frankenstein 2-ply at some point with little dribs and drabs that I have left over. But yeah, I could see these as color work and something, maybe, because they're probably just enough to do some color work, maybe with another color. Like these would be the colors in the pattern versus the all over. So they're just going to go into my hand spun stash. So these are the only complete hand spuns that I have done. Other than that, spinning wise, I have been, I got back to working on my Classy Squid sweaters quantity, the Velaris colorway. I have purchased 6 bags, 6 2-ounce bags of this gorgeous, I would show you the bobbin, but it's back on the spinning wheel, and it's got a partial rolag spun, but these beautiful rolags that are a mixture of purple and black and blue, and there's a little bit of peach, and there's a lot of fire star in there that's giving it a shimmer. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I definitely bought enough to make a sweater, so I'm going to work on it. I'm really enjoying spinning it. I realize, one of the things I can say about doing this method, where you take a commercial skein and ply it, oh my goodness, it's so boring after a couple skeins. It's just like, wow. This is really, really boring. Because it goes pretty fast, but then after that, you've got to wind it off onto the niddy-noddy. And I'm saying all these terms like rolag and niddy-noddy. Let me show you what a niddy. Okay, this is a niddy-noddy. So what you do is you wind off in a crisscross pattern. So you can hold your hand in one spot, and then your other hand is like moving the yarn around, and that makes the gigantic loop. That makes this. So I know some people use a skein winder, so it's like what we use if you have your own skein winder, what you use when you make a cake, you put it on a skein winder and then the ball winder winds it. So some people use that. I don't know how you do that. Like, that sounds so tedious. The niddy-noddy's pretty fast, because you can just and it's mindless. You can be watching TV or talking to friends or whatever as you're doing it. So it makes this gigantic loop, which you then do the figure 8 ties, 4 of them, and then the skein goes into the soak, and then it dries, and then it is done. It's ready for you to knit with, and then you go take it and put it on the skein winder and cake it. So it's a lot of handling. It's a lot of handling, but it's not. It's easy, low tech handling, so to speak. So yeah, like doing that process, like because these go so fast, because when you're working with fiber, you're spending a lot of time making the fiber single, and then you're making those singles into 2-ply, and then so there might be days in between you actually needing to use the niddy-noddy so winding off the skeins and doing the soak, and then you get the picture, right? So it's a lot of these like very monotonous, tedious tasks all in a row, because I could easily ply I have 2 jumbo bobbins that I use for plying, so I could easily do 2 bobbins in watching someone else's hour or hour and a half long channel, and then now I've got to wind them off onto the niddy-noddy, and then I need to soak them and rinse, repeat. So it was pretty boring. So that's why I still have a whole bunch of them sitting there. Another 5 or so singles that I'm going to make 2-ply. That will get made over time. I'm just not going to. I'll do them in between. They'll kind of be like a palette cleanser when I need to just do something quick on my spinning wheel. But I really, really love being back to spinning fiber. It is really fun. I just really enjoy spinning the rolag. So this is a rolag. This is one way to buy fiber. This makes a more fuzzy, lofty yarn. It makes more of a woolen spun yarn. Worsted is smooth, where all the fibers go in one direction. Woolen, they can go every which way, but they make nevertheless they make yarn. So so this is Rolags make more woolen spun, where combed top will make you more of a worsted spin. And I do have more fiber. So far, I am keeping up with my fiber purchases in terms of not overbuying. So I have enough I have what I'm spinning right now, and then I have a couple bats that will be fun one-offs. Like, I'll make one skein. I won't be making sweaters quantity, and then I have another sweaters quantity in fiber, and that's it. I don't really have a lot of fiber. I have a ton of yarn. But I like that I don't have a lot of fiber. I like that it is under control. Seemingly under control. I need to get going on knitting, really, more than anything else. I think I was watching, sorry, I'm going to now just go on a tangent, not really talk about anything else. And this is getting long. I didn't intend for this to be this long. But real quick, I was watching Stranded Dye Works. I was watching Amy Florence's latest episode, and she talked about a counter app where it counts things, and she's using it to count skeins in, skeins out, fiber in, fiber out. So I guess in her personal stash. That sounds awesome, because I would really like to get my personal stash down. So I think that's going to be very useful. So I didn't look for it yet, but I'm going to. I'm gonna do that as well. I mean, obviously, like, you can look on Ravelry, and Ravelry will sort by date added and all that stuff, but this will be like a more immediate, like, oh, okay, this is what I have, this is what I'm using. So I could be like, yay, I'm stashing down, or, oh my gosh, I really overdid it and bought too much. Which could be Rhinebeck. I'm really trying not to buy anything between now and Rhinebeck, any yarn or fiber. I have plenty to get me there. It's only 6 weeks away. No, 8 weeks. 8 weeks away. No, 9 weeks. 9 weeks. I know that because I just came from the hair salon and we set up my appointment for 8 weeks, and it's the weekend ahead of Rhinebeck. So, yeah, so I'm actually planning on buying very little yarn at Rhinebeck. I'm not going to say not any. I'll probably buy some. But I'm really looking forward to buying fiber there. So I may end up with a little bit of a fiber stash once I'm back from Rhinebeck, which I think is fine. I think it's fine to have a little bit of, because the next big event is Vogue Knitting Live in January, and I may or may not go. I'm not sure I want to go. I'm going to see how my stash is. If I feel good about everything and I feel like I'm in touch with what's happening in the fiber world, I may stay home. I may skip that one. You know? Don't have to go to all of them just because they're here and convenient. But we'll see. Definitely hitting up Rhinebeck, though. Super excited. So I have now taken up enough of your time, and I really appreciate you spending time here with me. I appreciate every comment and question down below. If you want to do Rhinoculus, head over to Ravelry and comment in there about I'm going to put the start dates and stuff. No biggie. No pressure to participate other than just to check in and show us how you're doing and talk about if you have any questions about the pattern or anything. I can tell you what I did on it. I understand it's pretty well written, though. It's been well tested, and there's a lot of projects for us to take a peek at if we're needing inspiration or if we're needing some assistance in the instructions. But it's gorgeous. I can't wait. I think it's going to be great for holiday season. So I will see you in a couple weeks. I will check in again soon. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.